Today, we're going to explore a really deep psychological idea, but we're not going to do it with a textbook. We're going to do it with the story. A simple parable, really, about a jester and his shadow. It's all about what we show the world, and more importantly, what we hide from ourselves. So let's just dive right in. This is our starting point, a line from the jester himself. And, he just gets it. He understands that we all have these two sides. This one idea, the polished gold of our public lives and the rough, hidden wood of our secret selves, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to explore. So here's our roadmap. We're going to follow the jester through 4 big lessons. First up, the mask we all put on. Then, how we kind of see our own hidden stuff in other people. After that, we'll look at how to find real power in that darkness. And finally, we'll see how to bring it all together in what our story calls the integrated dance. Okay, scene 1. Picture this, a super busy village square, people everywhere. The jester's putting on a play. But this is way more than just a show. It's a lesson, and everyone watching is a part of it. So he walks out into the middle of the crowd, and he's wearing this really strange mask. And he just tells them, flat out, what it means. He says, "See this gleaming gold half? That's your public face. It's the polite, successful you." But then he points to the other side, the rough, charred wood, and says, "And this is the part of you that you hide away in the cellar of your own mind." And then, right in the middle of his dance, he does something genius. He stumbles. But it's how he falls that matters. He makes absolutely sure that it's the charred, wooden side of the mask that just smacks right against the cobblestones. This isn't just an accident. Oh no, this is a setup. It's a physical joke with a really deep psychological punchline. You see, this fall, it's a perfect living metaphor for what the psychologist Carl Jung called the shadow. The shadow is basically all the stuff we don't like about ourselves. It's where we shove our embarrassing impulses, our secret weaknesses, our desires we'd never admit to. It's the charred wood. And the crowd, they let out this nervous little laugh. And right there, in that laugh, is this flash of recognition. They get it. They know that no matter how much you polish the golden side of your own mask, that wooden side is still there, and sooner or later, it's gonna trip you up. The jester's fall makes that truth real, and because he makes it funny, they can actually look at it without being terrified. So, we've seen the shadow in ourselves, but what happens when we refuse to look? What happens when we just pretend it isn't there? Well, the jester's next lesson shows us exactly that. It's about how we end up projecting our own darkness onto everyone else. So his first target is this merchant, right? A guy who's famous in the village for his rock-solid reputation and his, quote, absolute honesty. The jester starts following him, mimicking every polite jester perfectly, but with this one tiny change. A subtle, predatory snarl that just twists his face with every single bow. It's this incredibly unsettling, uncanny imitation. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the merchant's persona, that shiny golden mask of honesty he shows the world. But on the right, held up by the jester, is his shadow, the hidden greed that he swears he doesn't have, but oh man, he sees it everywhere else, in all of his competitors, right? This is the classic definition of the externalized shadow. It's when we take the ugliest parts of ourselves, the things we can't stand, and we pin them on other people. The jester is just being a living mirror, showing the merchant the exact same greed he accuses everyone else of. And just to drive the point home, he hands the merchant a small, polished mirror, wrapped in dirty rags. The merchant, as you can imagine, is furious. He's enraged by this mockery. But, his anger just proves the jester's point. The more perfect and shiny we try to make our public face, the bigger and darker that shadow grows right behind it, just waiting for its chance to trip us. Okay, but the jester isn't done yet. He turns his attention to someone completely different. At this huge feast, he spots a woman of such perfect grace and virtue, she seems almost invisible, like a ghost of perfection. She seems to have no shadow at all. And then the jester does something completely wild. He grabs a handful of soot from a fireplace and just throws it up into the air. This black cloud billows out, and like some kind of weird magic, it settles only on her perfect white silk dress, staining it. And as she shrieks, he just calmly points out that the soot, the shadow, has finally made her visible. This is what he's showing everyone, the danger of the persona. By trying to be so flawlessly pure, she had almost stopped being a person. She had just disappeared into a social role. The shadow, as messy and unwanted as it was, gave her back her substance. It gave her weight. It made her real again. She leaves that feast in tears, but for the first time, she walks with a weight that is actually her own. All right, so far the shadow sounds like this big problem we have to deal with. But what if it's also a source of power? In his next lesson, the Jester is going to show us not how to hide from the darkness, but how to actually tap into its hidden strength. He finds a young man at the edge of this dark forest, just frozen with fear. The man confesses he's terrified of the violent, beastly feelings he has inside. He's convinced he's a monster. Now, you'd expect the Jester to offer some comforting words, right? But he doesn't. Instead of telling the kid to push the beast down, the Jester shares his own secret. He starts talking about the monster in his own belly, and he explains, I don't fight it, I make friends with it. He says he tells it jokes, he feeds it laughter and music, and he's learned to see it not as his enemy, but as this wild, untamed source of life and energy. And this, right here, is the absolute core of what's called shadow integration. It's not about winning a war against the darkness inside you. It's about turning around to face it, getting to know it, and figuring out how to use its power. The beast doesn't have to eat your heart, the Jester teaches, if you learn how to feed it something else. You can actually turn that fear into a powerful, even playful curiosity. So the Jester's next lesson on power, it's even bolder. He sneaks into the king's treasury, the most protected room in the whole kingdom, and he starts swapping out these piles of shiny gold coins for heavy, ordinary stones that he just picked up from the river. Of course, the guards catch him, and when they do, he doesn't even flinch. He turns what should be his execution into a philosophy class. He holds up a stone in one hand, a coin in the other, and he says this: a gold coin is valuable, sure, but all you can do with it is hide it and worry about it. A stone, though, a stone has potential. And this comparison is the whole lesson. You've got the ego's treasure over here, gold coins, polished, perfect, but static. He calls it dead light. And over here, you have the shadow's power, common river stones, raw and full of potential, living darkness. The Jester is showing the king that the earthy, untamed energy that the crown thinks is worthless, well, that might be the most valuable thing he has. He's really teaching a masterclass on what we'd call psychic energy. All that stuff we push away because it seems too primitive or too dark, our ambition that feels too aggressive, our anger that feels ugly, all those gut instincts we're told to ignore, that's often where the most real, useful power is, if we're just willing to pick it up and see what it's really worth. And that brings us to the final hour of the night. After teaching the villagers, the merchant, the lady, the youth, and the king, the Jester has one last lesson. But this time, it's for himself. And I think for us too. He's standing all alone at the edge of the water, and in the moonlight, he's just watching his own reflection. But then a little ripple disturbs the surface. His image breaks apart, and in that one moment of disillusion, he has this huge realization. He understands he is not the golden mask he shows the world. And he's not the dark, messy soot he reveals in others. And he's not even the raw, untamed power of the stone. He realizes he's something else entirely. He is what Jung called the transcendent function. He's the bridge itself. He is the awareness that connects these two worlds. He's the space where the polished ego can finally meet its own hidden, frightening, and, well, beautiful depths. And this, right here, is the ultimate lesson of the whole parable. Wholeness isn't about victory. It's not about the light conquering the darkness. It's about integration. It's about having the courage to invite all the different parts of yourself to join in the same dance. And as this all dawns on him, the Jester lets out this quiet laugh. And it's not a crazy cackle, and it's not a cry of despair. It's a laugh of pure integration. It's a sound that holds both the golden heights and the shadowy abyss, all at the same time. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. The Jester's journey, from that divided mask to this integrated whole, it's really a map for our own inner lives. It shows us a path not to perfection, but to wholeness. So the only question left for us is, what part of your own shadow, what face have you hidden in the cellar, are you refusing to invite to the dance?